Welcome to video 6 of this video series. Now, in an earlier video, we looked at step 1 of the project and what you should be thinking of including in between 200 and 300 words when you're completing step 1 of your project report template. But now let's move on to step 2, project planning. At the end of this video, you'll be able to find step 2, the plan section of your project report template. You'll be able to list the benefits of step 2. Why is planning important when creating a project report? And you'll be able to describe the information that you're going to include in the plan section of the project report. Now, before we move on, here's a quick reminder that your project report template includes a brief description of the activities that you should be thinking about at every step of the project. And you can see that on screen now. This page is within your project report template, and you should maybe think about going back to it if you're working on your project and you have different questions about what you should be doing at each step and what you might need to include in your final project report. So here we have an image of a blank section of the plan, step 2 of your project report template. And this is what you'll be editing. Why is planning important? What are you learning now that's important for you as you continue in your PTech learning journey, working on different projects, working with others? What are you learning now that's so important maybe for you to carry on if you go into college or into the workplace? Why do we do this? Why do we include this section? So first of all, every time you make a project plan, this is going to help to keep you organized. A project plan is where you break down the project into clear steps so you know what you need to do and when you need to do it. Project plans are going to help you to save time because when you plan ahead, you're going to avoid last minute stress and little mistakes. It's going to help you to reach your goals. You know what your role is, you know what your deadlines are, and because of that, the project is going to work more smoothly. Project planning also makes problems easier to spot. So planning shows you where challenges might happen, and that way you're able to prepare for them. The planning stage also shows professionalism. Companies expect clear plans, and planning proves that you can manage tasks like a pro. Think about it like this. If you imagine building a house without a blueprint, it would be chaos. A project plan is your blueprint for success. So now, let's think about the different kinds of information this section of your project report should give to the reader. So first of all, this section should tell the reader how you planned the project. You should also use this section of the report to tell the reader about what your project goals are. What do you want to achieve? Why do you want to achieve this? Why is this important? When reading this section of your project report, this section should also help the reader to understand what were the different activities that happened during this phase of the project. So, for example, did you have any meetings? Did you look at your timelines and decide what work needed to be done every day or every week to achieve your goals? This section of the project report should also help the reader to see who took responsibility for the different work that happened on the project or what responsibilities you had. Now, if you make any changes to the project plan, or if you met any challenges, you should tell the reader about this because this kind of information is really important to the reader, but in the workplace, it's also really important to your company. So if we think about like some real world examples, in the working world, if you're working on a project and you complete your project report and you tell them about the challenges that you faced, the reader might think about this. What was the impact of the challenges you faced? And then the next time a project is happening, they might factor this in. Or your employer or your manager might need to think about something like, how much time they need to be giving people to work on a project. In the working world, this section is also really important because it gives information to highlight where there were challenges, because it's a way for you to work with your employer to see where you might need some support or you might need some training in some area. Now, you can include information on the different sections and the different decisions you made and the different activities that happened during the planning phase. So, for example, did something change because of something you learned while you were doing the research? Did you learn something new about your target audience? Did you learn something new about the company that really impacted the project? And when you're putting all of this information together and you're completing this section of your project report, you can include artifacts because you want to highlight and you want to showcase all of your work. So let's look at some examples. Let's see what kind of artifacts we could include. So maybe you might include photos. Now, if you're not sure how to do this, your Tech Essentials guide will show you how to do this. You could include sketches of your solution, and you can see some sketches on screen here. You can include some storyboards. You might include some recordings. If you had meetings, you could include your meeting notes. These are just some examples of the artifacts that you could include. You can decide how you want to customize this template any way you like when you're working through the project. So that brings us to the end of this video. So now at the end of this video, you can find step 2, the plan section of your project report template, and you know why. What are the benefits of step 2 of creating a plan? And you can also describe the information that you can include in the plan section of your project report. In our next video, we'll be looking at step 3. Thanks for watching.